What's up? All right. It's your boy Supreme the Car Guy coming at you with another one. This one is going to be about DIY, do it yourself, because you have a lot of, car enthusiasts that like to do that want to try to do their mechanic work themselves or do their mods themselves, which is cool. But there is some things that you must understand when you're being a DIY mechanic or tuner or whatever you may have it. I mean, it's great to learn on your own. Excuse me, but there's some things that you must understand when you're doing this work on your own because there's some problems you may run into. So let's check some stuff out real quick before I get more into topics.
Customer states tie rods are clunking. Customer also put some
Damn.
chicken wire around it to prevent the clunking.
Yo, that's foul,
Ladies
man.
and gentlemen, customer states that the transmission is overheating. Well, there's the first 8 quarts. There's another 5, and it's still going. I wonder why it was overheating.
Who needs factory fog lights when you can have these bad boys?
Oh man. What the hell?
Customer states wants undercarriage inspection. I don't think this is how you go about it.
All right. That's
Customer
enough of
state.
that. Now, let's get into the DIY stuff, like what you need to know and how you should go about being a DIY mechanic when you want to fix your own cars at home or your friend's house or wherever you want to do it. Okay. First things first, you need to have the correct tools. You need to have all the tools that is required for the job and some, you know, because a lot of the problem stems from not having the correct tools to do the job. Because sometimes you can understand just a little bit about, working on cars or modding cars or so have it. And as long as you got all the tools in play, you'll be able to work, you'll be able to get through it if you're a little mechanically inclined. So tools is number one. Secondly, you must understand that you're going to run into an issue. Unless it's a brand new off the assembly line car, when the bolts are fresh, not rusted or anything like that, that's like the only time you're not going to run into any issues. But more times than not, you're going to run into some seized bolts, whatever. You're going to have to WD it down. You might, and what worst case scenario, you might snap some. You might snap one of them bolts. You might snap a stud. So where I'm getting at is if you're not prepared for these jobs, don't even do them. If you don't have the tools, if you don't have a little bit of the know-how, don't even do them because what can happen is your car can end up, not working. It could end up, useless. And then the worst thing is when you tow it in, because you break the right shit, you're gonna have to tow it in. What the worst thing is when you tow it into a shop that when you tow it into a shop after you messed some shit up, some shops would take it. A lot be like, look, man, I don't know. Well, I don't like going after people's work. And the reason why I could say this is because trust me, I've been in the game for a very long time, and my guy's been in the game even longer than me. You know, and we ran into these problems, and sometime we today till this day now we still run into these issues. So it's not no one is exempt for this from these DIY nightmares, you know. And this is what I don't like about a lot of these new YouTubers is they'll tell you they'll post a video up and say, "Oh, if you want to change this on your car, GTR, whatever, AMG, all you gotta do is bam, bam, bam." And that's in a perfect world. All the bolts are gonna come out perfect, like right away. Everything's gonna snap down. You're gonna be able to screw everything up real quick, and then you're on your way. That is in a perfect world. I'm telling you, Don't always believe that shit because you 9 and 10. Well, I'll be nice about it. Okay. 7 out of 10 times you're going to run into an issue, you know. And a lot of these videos, a lot of these content creators, they do not tell you this. They do not give you the what if you run into this issue, you know, this is how you address it. They don't tell you that. And some of those mistakes can be very costly. Like, let me give you an example. Changing the exhaust on the GTR, right? In the perfect world, the carbon fiber rear, the under panel, under the diffuser, because the GTRs have a carbon fiber diffuser underneath. Like, if you ever been under it, and it's very expensive. And what a lot of the guys that tell you, oh, all you gotta do is change your exhaust, bam, bam, knock these screws down and all of that, and you're on your way. What they don't tell you is, in most cases, especially you have a much older GTR, that those bolts are going, those screws be rusted out, and a lot of them are going to break. And there's these hanger things. Well, they're not hangers. It's like these. I forgot what they are. Ivy ran this. You know, he ran this by me and told me what's what. But those things are twists. And if you got an older GTR like a 09, 2010, 2011, 22, those metal hanger things, they discontinue. So in most cases, they're not. When you turn in the screws to get that diffuser down, you are twisting that. You know, you think you're twisting the screw out, you're twisting that metal thing, turn around and around, bam, you know, and then you have to get a custom one. You have to custom make that. Well, a shop have to custom, because if you're not a fabricator, you know, or you don't know a fabricator, you're going to have to be at a shop that's going to make it, and that's going to cost you money. And I ran into that mistake changing the exhaust, trying to change the exhaust on my GTR. Do I know how to change exhaust? Yes. But that was, you know, I had all the tools. I was watching the videos and all this stuff, and you know, I was getting back into DIY because I haven't been doing my own stuff like that in many years. I don't have the time, you know, so I just take it to the shops, you know. And I'm kind of rusty. I could do some basic stuff like oil changes, brakes, whatever, and I'm kind of rusty on the DIY. I used to be pretty decent, you know, but when I did that, when I made that mistake with the GTR diffuser, Ivy Technology, shout out to Sean Ivy. You know, he does my GTR work. All the major stuff he takes care of. He's pricey, but your GTR is going to be right. You take it there. But he ran everything down to me. Like, he knows everything about a GTR. He told me, like, he could tell you any problem that you're going to run into changing any part on a GTR. It don't matter where it is. He's going to tell. And he told me about the bolts. He told me the screws. He told me about the hangers. And this is something that I didn't know. You know, I'm like, wow. You know, they make it seem like it's just 1, 2, 3, but that's one example of you doing DIY and you run into this kind of problem, and you won't know how to deal with it because the influencers on YouTube or not, or Rumble, wherever they may be, or Instagram, they're not telling you, look, this is the problem you might have with an older GTR. And if you don't know how to address it correctly, please just take it to the shop. If you have an older GTR, please just take it to a technician who understands that car, because you're going to run into this issue, and more often than not, it's going to cost you way more money than it should instead of you just taking it to the shop and just letting them handle it. And with the F80 M3, when you're changing oil, I know with the F80 now, when I was talking to one of my dudes, he said a lot of the BMWs do this. I didn't run into this problem with the E92. I didn't run into this problem when I had an E46 M3 either. When you do so many oil changes, the drain bolt strips. I seen F80 go through that, but I did not know it was more common than anything. I thought that was just a one-off, because I've been changing oil in my E92 forever, and my E92 M3 and my E46 M3. I used to just take it to my friend's shop and change the oil. You know, he let me use the lift. I just change it and be out. I never had an issue with a bolt does that, but you know, with the F80, we're gonna just get another oil pan, or whatever, but because we're at 111 or 112,000 miles or something like that, and real quick, I'm gonna do a review on my lady's M3 at her high mileage and go over any issues we had. Blah blah blah. Well, right now, I'm just letting you know with the F80 M3, you change an oil as frequently as you should be, not at 10,000 miles. We don't do that. You're going to have that issue. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay, so let's just get that out there. Now, when it comes to the DIY, get as much knowledge you can, but have every tool and be committed to it. If you're not sure, just take it to the shop, because especially if it's a daily driven car, just take it to the shop. Now, I have multiple vehicles, so if one is down or even two of them is down because of some shit, it ain't gonna hurt me. I could still go make money. I could still go live life. I always have multiple vehicles, and I learned that from back in the day. You can't just have one vehicle that you rolling around with if you're a car enthusiast and you put mods on your car and stuff. You can't do that. It don't work, okay? Because more often than not, when your car's down because you're going to need shit done, you're going to be without a car. How you going to get to work? What you going to do? Take lifts, Ubers, and all that stuff? Like, you want to have multiple vehicles. That's another thing. Especially if you were DIY. Well, if you're in this car enthusiast shit, period, have more than one vehicle or have more than two vehicles. They don't got to be expensive, but make sure you have something that's really reliable. I like to always have a Civic, an older Civic, with a newer engine, newer transmission or whatever. I like to have those as my beaters, especially for winter time. Throw some snow tires and studs on, because I like to take my GTR or take the wifey's F80 M3 or whatever to the shop and get, in the winter when it's snowing and all, and get everything done that we need, because we don't drive those cars in the snow or anything like that. So they could be down all winter at the shop getting all kind of things done. They going over all the fluids, whatever. I could do all the fluids myself, but I'm just saying. But have the tools, have the know-how, have multiple vehicles. Especially if you DIY, have multiple vehicles. And another thing is, last but not least, always expect to run into a major problem with your bolts or screws or nuts or whatever have it may be. Always expect that something is not going to go as smoothly as the influencer on YouTube or Instagram or whatever is telling you. If you do those things, you're going to be fine. But anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm your boy Supreme, the car guy, and I am out. Peace.